So, do I think schools are in the right direction when it comes to online classes? Yes, but then at the same time, no. And I'll, touch upon those things because there's some other things that, brought to my attention and a couple of things that, random thoughts that ran through my mind about it. So, are they on the right direction with doing stuff, on the computer, online? Yes. So right now they got visual and FaceTime, which they could be using. I'm not sure what's going to give you multiple, FaceTimes where, you can see like a whole group of people and they can see you. I'm just going to jump off the window with this one per se, and I think they might be using Skype. I don't know. I, back, when Skype was getting popular and, visual was becoming a thing, everyone was talking about Skype and using Skype, and a lot of the YouTubers who live far away from each other, who wants to do audio team ups as a narrations, definitely used, Skype hooked up to a soundboard and everything. So I believe, they might be using Skype or maybe Google Hangouts. I'm not sure if Google Hangouts does, where you can hang out with, multiple people when it comes to visual chat. And now, they're on the right direction. And then I talked about, the hours for, different grades, but I want that to definitely come later on when it comes to getting an actual program. And some people, may complain about how it's being done right now. Like, it takes a little bit longer than usual of your 8 hours, like regular school hours. So, the teachers, they're, at home, they not at school where they have, all of their stuff. And some, are at school where they can use, the dry erase board. So I do believe that there is a choice, if you want to come to the classroom as a teacher with no students and teach through visual, calling, you can do that. Or, you can stay home and do that. So I believe as, right now, I think teachers are going to the classroom but teaching through visually from what it looks like. And some, have their own little workspace in their home, and you can go out and buy dry erase boards, and put them in the back of you, as well. And there is a lot more physical, work to be done in terms of, really, writing, and a lot more, you got to have a lot more patience, I feel like, and definitely a lot more time now with the students when it comes to, individual, reading, because they're not going to have access to something that you're going to have access to. So you got to figure out, okay, what's a way that I can send this, to them, or what's a way they can get, like a textbook to read. So, there is a used bookstore in my hometown, You know, and now I don't know if they got like textbooks, like a lot of textbooks like that are the same ones. But, one choice is, the teachers can go to a used bookstore and ask for, okay, what do you got in terms of textbooks? Do you have, like, let's say, like your reading classes, right? And you also got to do writing in your reading classes. Let's say, okay, I need a textbook with stories in it so my students can read and also take notes and do some type of paperwork. So, which ones do you have that you have multiple copies of? Okay, you said you got this one. Okay, that one will work. I can see them putting a deposit down on the textbooks. Like, I want to put a deposit down. I want these to be whole. And my students are going to get something, told to them to be written down by them or by the parents. Go to this bookstore, ask for this textbook. I already put a deposit down. This is how much the textbook's going to cost. So, the parents and students, go to that bookstore. They give the handwritten note to the book person that works there and say, okay, yeah, there was a deposit put down on this. It's this much amount of money for this book. So they go and they buy the books. They can do it that way. They can definitely do it that way as well. Now, let's say, that may cost, a bit too much, right, just to put a deposit down. So what's another thing they can do? So they can do the book fee money. They can do the book fee money, and the teachers can, select if they want to. Okay, I can go to, each of you guys' place of living, pick up the book fee money. They're going to send the book fee money where it needs to go to the school board of education, school district. And they can have, the teachers and the staff, can get ready. It's okay. So we got all these books ready, per student, for, each teacher, and they can, get them, sent out, to the kids, to the students. And that's why, they got textbooks, and it'll make it easier, to read from there, right? It would definitely make it easier, definitely to read from there. And they can, send in their, written exams, their written paperwork, their notes, their written, test. Or, what the teachers can do, when it comes to, test, when it comes to passing out sheets. Yes, they always get copies made. That's not a problem. Some black and white is cheap. And then you can send those tests, definitely through the mail, for, your students. And they'll be able to send them right back, and they'll be, be able to be graded that way. And then you can send them back, hey, this is what, your guys' grades, definitely were. So things, can work like that. I feel like an example of an actual learning program when it came to reading, selecting multiple choice, and then sending it to the teacher. I'm 30 years old, so I'm about to go way back. I don't know how many of you guys remember something called AR. It was like AR started in the, late mid 90s and, early 2000s. It was this yellow, kind of looked like yellow notebook paper, but you would select which book, you have read that had the yellow sticker on it, and it will read, or ask different questions, about a certain page, a certain character, and down at the bottom it had like, A through C, choice, multiple choice, and you would click, on that box, and then you would go on to the next page, and it will tell you, okay, you got this many right out of this many wrong, or you've done it good, and things like that. And it will tell you, what your grade is, and then the teacher will get it sent to her once you click send, and then the teacher will get back to you and, okay, like, you did a good job, this is your final score. So they can go back to doing something like that. I feel like when it comes to, reading, doing multiple choice questions, and definitely when it comes to testing. And you can add visual call, to that can be put on the right to left, screen, where it's not going to be in the way. So, you definitely have that option of that choice to do that until they get an actual, program, set up, like I was talking about, like learning course for people throughout elementary, middle, and high school. Because if they have them for, like I said, people who get their GED online or their college classes online, they can definitely set up something for, like, school type of grades, like elementary, middle, and high school, right? Now, I say the main part right here, what also brings me to this, again, just doing the subject. And some of my videos, are getting views, so it is getting out there. But I feel like they shouldn't start tripping about kids being in their pajamas while they're at home through visual calling when it comes to doing teaching online. And I'm going to say why. Because yes, as long as neither boy or girl is not showing anything and they're covered but still in their pajamas and comfortable, that's all that should matter. As long as they're comfortable, they're able to, work within their own comfortable space. This isn't being, in school. This isn't being in school. And there is a time where, where we wore pajamas, but you could never really tell they really were. And we just wore them to school because, shit, we didn't feel like getting fully dressed. But it wasn't so much the boys doing it. It was more so the girls, and, some of them going through their cramps, bloatiness, and, if they're going through it, you want to go through it in comfort. And sometimes the boys did it too, depending on how they felt, especially, if you were a sports player and everything as well. Your body might be sort of like, man, I don't feel like dressing how I dress, so I'm going to, dress like this, and it'll just be comfortable, because, when you're sitting there, for 8 hours during the day and maybe like a minute or two being able to switch through classes and walk, sometimes things are going to get agitated, so I feel like they shouldn't be tripping throughout, kids wearing their pajamas right now through online schooling, through visual call, as long as they're not showing anything, as long as nobody else can see them like that as well, then it's all good, And that's one of the, so many things that these schools are tripped out about, and it just needs to calm down. And, like, When I was, there was a time where school clothing, regular street clothes, were being attacked. And I remember I came in with a new hoodie, a new t-shirt for my birthday, and it was in November, and it was about after the Thanksgiving weekend was over, and I was in, I believe, 8th grade. I believe I was in 8th grade, and I bought this white hoodie with these like airbrushed dollar signs, diamonds, and rims all over it, and a Scarface shirt. It was just a portrait of him in like cloth studs, if you will, that were like glittery. And I still have that shirt and that hoodie. They are packed up. And I had on and the hoodie was, the t-shirt was like black. You had "The world is yours" and like shiny gold lettering and cursive, and you had an art portrait. And again, the little round dots look like studs, but they're not studs, or like cloth material, but they're like really shiny. It was done like that. And his certain features, were silver, and some were just blacked out. And I had on beige or peanut butter brown, dicky pants that looked gold, and a pair of black shoes. And I had on this color changing chain that was silver, stainless steel, and anything that you would wear with it, it would change, to that color. God, I wish I still had that necklace. I don't have it no more. But I wore that, and I walk. We came back into a fried drill. You know what I'm saying? Teacher just stops me and says, "What do you got on? Oh, you can't have that on. Go see that principal over there." Principal then grabs me like, "Why the fuck are you grabbing me?" You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you grabbing me and saying, "Ian, you can't wear that. That's a representative selling drugs." What? We got to check you. So they got the officer down there, had me checked. I'm like, what is this for? It's like, "You got a problem with it?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm not doing nothing wrong. This ain't representation of what you think." "Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is." You want to get sent home? Like, "Dude, go ahead and call and send me home." So I challenged the principal. Like, "There ain't no need for that. No need for that." Then you had then you had kids that would wear the Bugs Bunny, Scarface t-shirts, or like some type of t-shirt with like wrappers on them. And then, they would get attacked and be like, "Oh, don't worry, we gonna get them too." And it's like, well, kids can't be wearing this. And then they wanted to ban South Pole. So all this was done because of an SO officer that thinks everything is gang related, and who's a crooked fucking cop as well. Very crooked. And this person is the reason why Tennessee ended up starting the dress code, And for them years, for the short years that it lasted, he even chose, okay, this next generation coming up, they're much more better. We're going to get rid of the dress code. They're dressing how we dress. It's just they done it in tighter clothing. You got honest about sagging. Well, look at these, I ain't going to say the word I want to say, but look at these young men, respectively, who are sagging in these skinny jeans, showing off their ass to their homeboys. You ain't said nothing to them. Things got crazier, when it came to with girls having their hair dyed, having the hair done, That got banned. You can't come in with certain braids. You can't come in with hair colors. You can't come in with wigs, weaves, or extensions, or sewn-ins. It's not your natural hair. Blah, blah, blah. So the girls were looking ratchet as hell. As hell. Then the boys couldn't have designs cutting their hair, cutting their head. So they banned that and said that's a representation of witchcraft. What? Wait, what? So you mean to tell me if a lot of the kids, they done like their nicknames, right, in their head, or like their sports or their favorite sports team logos, and they're gonna have the announcement because that's a representation of witchcraft. What? A representation of witchcraft? Boy, get out of here. So you had stupid shit like that causes people to act out, and then you wonder why they're going to dress the way they do, because yes, they want to look nice, but they want to dress in comfort. They want to dress what they're comfortable in. It's going back, so kids, teachers, it shouldn't bother your students wearing their pajamas anyways. They at home. There's nothing you can do about it. They're not at your public, government building. They're not. They're at home in their private property and the comfort of their own living. As long as they're learning and not dressed inappropriately in their pajamas, then it's okay. It shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. Just like going back to if we got this dress code, I guarantee you more kids are going to do their work. We're going to have less fights. The graduation numbers are going to go up. People are going to be learning. The test scores are going to go up. Well, as soon as that happened, guess what? The test scores went down. People refused to learn. The dropout rate was definitely higher. And you had more fights break out more than ever. So that whole thing backfired. And it backfires for such a long time. It's like when tucking in, the shirts, back then. Problem with that, the reason why a lot of us didn't want them tucked in, as guys, those belt buckles, when we sit down, they pinch us in our waist area and underneath our stomachs, and that hurts. And it's very uncomfortable. Very, very uncomfortable. So again, going back, it shouldn't matter, if the students are in their pajamas or not. It should not matter. As long as they're not dressed and appropriate with it, it shouldn't matter. They're in the comfort, again, of their own home. They're getting their work done. And that's all that should matter at the end of the day. It's like here in real life, you have people out here, go out in their pajamas during the fall and winter time. So why should it matter with online schooling? Work is getting done. Take a look at a lot of the people that have jobs that have to do things through visual as well. Shit. They may look like they're dressed in a button-down shirt and a tie, but at the bottom, man, they're in their shorts, They're in their shorts. Some of them choose not to dress at all. Some of them just stay in their pajamas and still get paid, still get their work done. So it shouldn't matter. You're doing your work, you're getting the job that needs to be getting done. You're comfortable the way you are, boom. So, with that being said, man, I'm out. Peace.